Hi everyone, welcome to Technology. On today's section, I'll be walking you through software development lifecycle models. On our last section, we talk about what is software development lifecycle. I'll walk you through what is software development, how software is being developed from requirement to maintenance. So on this section, I'll be walking you through SDLC models. All right, so let's get to know what is software development models. Since the time software development started, various software models have been curated which implement SDLC. Each of these models solve problems that existed before these models were invented. So, traditionally, there are three major models most companies follows, which are waterfall model, agile model, and lean model. All right, so let's get to talk about all these models. What is waterfall model? The waterfall model is a classical model used in system development lifecycle to create a system with a linear sequential approach. It is termed as waterfall because the model develops systematically from one phase to another in a downward fashion. All right, so let's go through this stage one after the other. So this is waterfall model, which is the first model that they started using. So basically, waterfall model was among first development model, which is followed by SDLC. Waterfall model follow a linear sequential model of development. That means until first stage is completed before moving to the next stage. All right, so let me explain to you properly. On our last session, remember we talked about what is software development, how the software is being developed from requirement to the maintenance, right? So this is why it's called waterfall, because when a customer meet up with the architect to lay down all the requirements, that's the first stage. So after the customer done with the architect put all the technical specifications together and pass it on to the developer, which did the implementation and verification done by testers and maintenance. So this is why it's called waterfall, because it go on a linear sequential form of approach. So that means when the requirement is done, when they move to design stage, you can't go back to requirement stage anymore. So when the design stage is done and it's packaged and it's being forwarded to the developer, if there's any changes from the requirement or from the product owner, you won't be able to add that anymore. So that's why it takes a longer time for the waterfall models to be completed. They have to make sure that they document every stages, because they don't want to make a mistake, because you know you won't be able to go back and fix it. So once you package a first step, everything is done, you go to the next level and keep on going like that in a sequential manner. So that means if there's any issue on the implementation, once you go into the verification, you're not going back. Once you go to the maintenance, you're not going back. That's why back in the days, it take a longer time for application to come out, because they're trying to make sure that they fix everything properly. They have to document every steps like that. So that's why it's called waterfall. And this is old school. Any company still working on waterfall now is like, still working in the past. All right, so let's see advantage of waterfall model. Clear objective, no ambiguous requirement, well understood milestone, specific deadlines. The process and result are well documented. Like I said, everything has to be documented, and that's why it takes a longer time. They have to make sure that the customer requirements are being met. They have to make sure that everything is perfect before they move on to the next level, which of course nothing is actually perfect. Nothing is perfect. There must be something to work on later. All right, so let's see the disadvantage of waterfall model. Working product is not available until later stage in life cycle. Poor model of large and complex project. It cannot accommodate changing requirements, high risk and uncertainty. Like I said, working product is not available until later stage in life cycle. This is the reason why it takes a longer time, because remember, it's an idea. By the time you go and lay down the requirement, maybe that's the main time that idea can sell. Maybe something is going viral and you just want to quickly take advantage to bring a product out. You can't do that with waterfall, because it take 1 year or more than And by the time the product is ready, the customer has already changed his mind or move on to the next level. So that is that. So right now, let's go on to the next model, which is agile model. So what is agile model? Agile process model refers to a software development approach based on iterative development. Agile methods break tasks into smaller iterations or paths do not directly involve in long-term planning. So let's go over to the agile, which is the main practice of these days. To overcome the challenges faced in waterfall, they came up with agile. Shorter development lifecycle are achieved by not releasing all the features at once following the incremental model of development. Agile model believes in creating shorter development lifecycle. So basically, remember on waterfall, everything have to be documented, everything have to be planned before they can push it out. That's why it take a longer time because they try to perfect every stage. Remember, so on agile it's not like that. That's why they break it down from plan to design, develop, test, release, feedback. So now they break it into chunks of release. So what agile will do, if agile want to release an application, they're going to release the models that can stand by themselves. They're going to release the most important part of the application that can stand by itself. So that means they can release application in 6 months or less than that. And they keep adding more features to it. But what Waterfall will do, Waterfall will design all the application of modules and put them together before they can release it. But on Agile, Agile will break it down, release it little by little. After the feedback, then do more and release. They're gonna plan it, they're gonna design it, push it out on develop, test it, release, get the feedback, plan again, design it, develop it, test it, release it, get a feedback, and that's how it keeps going. All right, so let's see the advantage of agile model. So advantage of agile model, less planning required. Customer satisfaction is high. Functionality can be created and tested quickly. Requirements can be dynamic in nature. Less planning required. They do not waste time on planning. So they're going to release the most important part of the application. Let's assume they want to release application that has 20 features on it. What Agile will do, Agile will release like 4 most important part of the modules that can start by themselves. Send it out for the customer or the users to start using, and the feedback is what they use in modify the application and they add more features to it. So customer satisfaction is high because now you can get your application out on time. Functionality can be created and tested quickly, like that. But let's see the disadvantage of agile model. Knowledge transfer to colleagues can be difficult since there's a little documentation. Not suitable for handling complex dependencies in project. Success of the project depend heavily on customer interaction. So now, remember on Waterfall, they document everything. So when they pass on the document to the next colleague or somebody that's going to work on the application, it's quite easy because you can see all the documentation stages of the application building process. But on Agile, it's not like that because, they have less required. So knowledge transfer to colleague can be difficult because whoever want to work on the application have to study the application behavior, stuff like that. Not suitable for handling complex dependencies and all that. All right, so let's go on the third model, which is lean model. So what's lean model? The lean development methodology decrease cost, effort, and waste. Lean software development is a set of principles that can be applied to software development to decrease programming effort, budgeting, and defect rates by 1/3. All right, so let's talk more about lean model. Lean development is a philosophy of increasing quality software delivery by making use of agile methods. Ignore the clutter for later and focus on what is required at the moment. Lean methodology has a primary focus on 2 things: respect for frontline workers and continuous improvement. So basically, lean model is also like agile model. On agile model, you and your colleague can brainstorm, you can share idea, because IT team, you don't have to know everything on IT team. You can know 1 or 2. Your colleague is gonna know 2 and 3. The next one is going to know 3 and 4, stuff like that. So when you work together, you brainstorm to come up with application. You break silos. But on lean model, it's not like that because there's no time. If Agile can release application in 6 months, then lean model can release that same application in 3 months or less than that, because they do not waste time. What they do on lean model, they're gonna make sure that everybody are strong on that domain. If you're gonna work on certain application by lean model, you do not put people that do not have strong experience on it. So you put people that has experience on that particular project, on that particular domain. Those are the teams that you're gonna put together, because now you're trying to eliminate waste, and you're trying to make sure that you come up with the application as fast as possible. So you can see on the diagram, eliminate waste, empower the team, deliver it fast, optimize the all, build quality in, defy decision, amplify learning. So this is what is called lean model. So lean model make it more faster to deliver your application because no time to learn. All right, so advantage of lean model. Let's go through it real quick. Carries the same advantage as agile methodology. Creates a positive working environment. Customer feedback is given the utmost importance. Limiting waste, save time and money. So, disadvantage of lean model largely depend on the skill set of team. Therefore, require a strong team. Just like I explained earlier, it required a strong team to work on that particular project. No room for error. A missed delivery can be bad for business. Success of the project depend heavily on customer interaction. So carry the same as agile, but it's more faster than agile. So let's go and see waterfall versus agile versus lean model. On the waterfall model, you can see days, it take a longer time before the release and before customer feedback. Release is the dot and the star is customer feedback. So that means the requirement, the design, implementation, verification, release, and feedback. That's why it take a longer time before it gets to release. You can see that. But on agile model, required design, implementation, verification, release in a shorter time. Get the feedback, do the same thing, get the feedback, do the same thing, release and get the feedback. But on the lean model, the same thing with agile, eliminate waste. They do the same thing with agile, but they eliminate waste. So they put a strong team, no time to learn. They deliver the application as fast as they can. All right, so let's summarize the whole thing. The problem with waterfall model was that the development lifecycle took long of time to complete. Therefore, by the time finished product was delivered, the product owner required were no longer the same. You can imagine you want to design an application when you have the idea about a year ago. And after a year that the development company reached back to you that is ready, you move on 12 months or more than that. So, idea comes and go. And, idea these days, the first person who release the idea is the owner of the idea, because idea is being given to many people. That's why some people gonna be like, oh, I was actually thinking about that idea, but idea is out there already. So that's how it is. So that means if you get an idea, as fast as you can release the idea, the better for you. So let's go further and say the problem was faced by agile and lean methodologies. These methodologies strictly focus on customer feedback and improving the software quality in a shorter development lifecycle. So basically, all the problems that the development company were faced during the waterfall were faced by agile and lean methodology. So these are the models of SDLC. And this brings us to the end of this section, and I hope you learn. Thank you.